Did any of you guys ever used to listen to Dr. Laura Schlesinger, her radio show when she was on terrestrial radio? I think she's on Sirius now. Sirius Radio, satellite. But her big shtick was these women would call, and especially married women or whatever, and they would say, Dr. Laura, my husband's really mean to me, and how can I get him to be nice? And she would say, well, when did he become mean? Oh, last week. She goes, well, he was never mean when you went out with him. He never did the stuff you're complaining about now when you were dating. Yeah, well, I guess he did. Well, they always, if you keep the person on the phone long enough, Dr. Laura would make them admit that these people signed up for the abuse that they were now complaining about. But they always had a signal. And that's kind of what's like. That's what it's like living in these, doing the gentrification thing in these big condo towers in these big downtowns now, like we're going to see in a minute, Pittsburgh. If you go in there with one eye shut, you're going to think, you're living in this gleaming new era of urbanism where people walk hand in hand, all these funky clubs and funky art studios and funky coffee shops and funky restaurants. And everybody's very funky and very, very happy. The truth is, if you listen to the public officials, they're telling you we have a lot of crime in these places, so you better, be prepared for that. And don't come complaining to me when it happens. That's exactly what this story is about in Pittsburgh.
People downtown, namely the businesses and residents, they say that there is a lot to love about Pittsburgh downtown, but they also say there's a lot to dislike, and they say the violence is stirring frustration and forcing them to make changes. Shootings, stabbings, large teenage brawls, even hostile political rallies shutting down 4 blocks of a downtown street. This has become a sickening cycle to residents and businesses.
Young people are subjecting themselves to that kind of violence. It really took us off guard, kind of scared us.
Shannon Altpeter says she and her husband are moving out of their downtown apartment in the Clark building because of the violence here.
We're moving outside of the city as soon as our lease is up.
When is that?
In July, unfortunately.
It's an unfortunate reflection on our city, and it makes me feel a little unsafe sometimes when I come to work.
The Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership says the crime is not random. Instead, they're isolated incidents and the result of neighborhood groups clashing in the city's biggest neighborhood.
It's people who came into town together. They argue and get into disagreements on the streets, and so it plays out in the public space.
While the mayor is pressed to do something to stem the cycle of violence, he says a crime-free neighborhood does not exist.
I can't eliminate all crime. That's impossible. So if those are your expectations, then maybe downtown living is not best for you. We've increased police patrols, we increased undercover, and we've coordinated with the Port Authority, with the county, and with the school district police.
It's really unfortunate that the violence is kind of scaring us away.
Are there other residents that you know of who are looking to leave here?
Yes, a couple of our friends have already left.
Now, despite the violence, Mayor Bill Peduto says that there's still thousands of living units coming to downtown Pittsburgh. Reporting live, Sheldon Ingram, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
Now an investigation is underway after a large fight broke out downtown last night. Several people were arrested. Some police officers were hurt in the scuffle. Lynn Hayes-Freeland can join us live now with more on that. Lynn.
Well, within the last 30 minutes or so, Pittsburgh police did issue a statement on exactly what happened in downtown Pittsburgh. And they say that most of the disruptive behavior that rippled through downtown involved teenagers. Now, this all happened just before the 2016 Three Rivers Regatta ended. Now, several streets were actually shut down by police, but the city says the police were there, they were present, and they were on top of the situation.
It felt more of like a terroristic type atmosphere. It wasn't more of like a regular city regatta type feeling.
But these are the pictures Ryan King recorded Sunday night before the regatta officially ended. And it didn't look much like a regatta then either. Fights, police, and spectators all over town.
I noticed the victim looked unconscious. Maybe they were trying to sit him up. And then I noticed a lot of officers and other.
Right, we're in Market Square right now, where during the daytime and often on weekdays in the evening, there are plenty of people without trouble. But after some big city events recently, there have been incidents like this. And police are pledging to do what it takes to make sure this problem is brought under control. Phone video shot by downtown restaurant employee Alex Loy shows what she describes as the chaos and drama of the teen troubles downtown Sunday night. City officials in the DA's office met on this today.
Kids started randomly just pushing each other and starting fights. We had a couple kids run into our restaurant and try and hide. One of the girls that ran into the restaurant had a knife on her.
Pittsburgh police moved with a strong presence, temporarily shutting down some streets for a time. This spectacle was troubling for some workers who were told by police to stay indoors for a time.
They were in the streets. The kids were fighting each other. I saw a kid take another kid and throw him against the concrete.
Pittsburgh police made up to a half dozen arrests.
We started targeting the people that were doing the fighting and taking them into custody and dispersing the groups.
These scenes on downtown streets on the last day of the regatta echo some troubles a month ago after the 4th of July.
Yeah, Jackie, Mike, as you now know, 4 people were shot behind me here on Liberty Avenue at the corner of 7th, right by the Benedum Center, by the Clark Building. But we talked to witnesses tonight who saw this crime from above, and they say it was amid a big crowd. The gunshots went off and people scrambled.
I thought I'd throw my other favorite Pittsburgh story in there as well, the story of the regatta. You know, I mean, how many Pittsburgh stories do you want? Remember the anchor in Pittsburgh was just fired a few months ago? 8 people at a picnic were shot. I don't know, 5 people were dead. She did one of these fake crocodile tears going, oh, we know who it's going to do it. We know it's black. We know it's African-American people. We know, the same story. It's the mother was working 12 jobs and she did all she could, but she couldn't keep. She thought she was kind of being condescending and fawning like all these liberals always are. She thought she'd be getting brownie points for that. A couple black people went in and said, hey, we don't like what she said. Fire her. Next day, she was gone. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh. A lot of black mob violence, black on white crime, that people just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, hey, that's Pittsburgh. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. My little town of Wilmington, Delaware, the former mayor would go around telling people, all these cities are kind of the same, right? I mean, they're all doing the gentrification thing, always trying to build some condos, always trying to get people to come back to the city, new people, because the old people said, this isn't worth my time. It's too dangerous there. It's not fun. So the mayor named James Baker, he'd go around going, I like young white people. They're too stupid to be afraid of crime in Wilmington, Delaware. And to be afraid of crime in Wilmington, Delaware is to be aware of this level of black criminality and black on white crime and black mob violence that is wildly out of proportion, but rarely spoken about in the local press. So now we have the mayor of Pittsburgh going, listen, this is not a safe town. I mean, he doesn't have to, it's not the Amish down there. There's a lot of Amish in central Pennsylvania. It's not the Quakers. Violent crime in Pittsburgh is a black thing. The mayor, maybe he understands it. The rest of us, we don't have to understand it. We just have to know, if you go to live in Pittsburgh, in one of these downtown condos, one of these gentrified neighborhoods, you have to sign lots of documents saying, yeah, I signed this, I signed that, I buy this, I buy that, I know this, I know that. We better put one more disclosure document in there that says, oh yes, I absolutely know under no circumstances in this condo tower can we make the black kids angry.